Hey now, it's your Auntie Ashley.
What's up? It's your girl, Auntie Shug.
Hey, it's your girl, Auntie Quiche.
Hey y'all, it's Auntie Amber.
Welcome to the Clinical Cookout.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. We are qualified clinicians who will cover various topics on mental health and will sometimes provide community resources. We are not being paid by any organization for our content, and any information we provide is general and pertains to our own personal experiences. We do not, I repeat, we do not provide psychotherapy, diagnoses, or treatment recommendations on air. Any concerns related to your individual mental health should be directed to your medical and mental health professionals. We are not responsible for others' decisions or the subsequent consequences.
Welcome to the Clinical Cookout. Today we have some unique guests. I'd like to introduce my big brother and my friend. His name is Chris. And Chris has a very unique story that he would like to share. Today is a special episode, and we're going to be talking about men. So we thought, why not invite the men?
Hello, teammates.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Yep, I appreciate it. So a little bit about me. Chris Monroe, military, been in 22 years, active duty. I spent 15 years overseas, so this is like the first time I've been stateside, and I live in Vegas, so I kind of jumped into the deep end coming back to the States, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with you ladies.
Glad to have you.
So our next guest is my dear friend, Larry Jordan. He speaks a lot about mental health, specifically mental health for men, and he also has a unique story. So I would like to welcome him to the show as well.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
How y'all doing? Like Keisha said, my name is Larry Jordan, and actually got to know Keisha online. She knows a lot of my family and a lot of my background as far as my family goes. I am actually a PK, pastor's kid, and so just navigating that in my youth, going from that, and then prison, going from that, graduating, college, starting multiple businesses, and then just over the phases of my life, just dealing with different mental health aspects and noticing how, looking back, it's all played a part in the decisions I made, how things turned out and whatnot, what could have been better, and, just being able to be more compassionate and recognizing those things in other, especially men, Black men at that, how we get caught in a cycle, trying to be whatever we're trying to be, thinking there's a set blueprint to do certain things. Just being more cognizant of that in other men, like I said, and then just being more vocal about, just taking care of your mental health. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, looking for resources, because the goal is to be the best that we can be. And if we can't do that on our own, which a lot of times we can't, because I feel like we're built for community, then, we need to go and get help wherever it may lie, whoever has access to that help. So I just want to be vocal and continue to be vocal and be an advocate for that.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it.
This is going to be a good episode, y'all. I'm
ready.
All right. So before we get into the good stuff, we're going to start off with our hot sauce topic as usual. So Auntie Quiche, you want to go ahead and throw that out there?
Absolutely. So again, thank you for our guests for being here. But we want to go right into our hot sauce topic. So let's go ahead and state the question. Is having excessive rules to dating too much? And the reason why I asked this question is because it was a girl from TikTok who spoke about just being overwhelmed with so much like criteria. Like she, couldn't be too accessible. You can't stay the night. You got to wait 90 days for sex, or just all these rules applied. So I want to pose the question to the Clinical Cookout, our two guests, as well as the audience, what you think.
Woo, well, Keisha already know. Listen, I'm like done with the 90-day rule. Although I don't always uphold that rule. Well, I didn't always uphold that rule. I mean, I'm upholding it now because I'm married and stuff. But so I always say wait 90 days, not only to have sex, but just to kind of like get super intimate with somebody. And the reason why I say that is because I think people are trifling. And I think when I'm seriously, they are. I'm seriously like a little bit I'm skeptical of everybody. And but everybody already knows me. I'm a little bit paranoid and I always and not to a bad paranoid, but I watch what I'm doing with people because I think that people fake who they are, especially in the beginning. People send their representatives, and after a while, people get exhausted not being themselves. And so, if you just wait somebody out, you get to see how they look when they're angry, how they look when they're happy. Let me see if they invite me around their family, and I don't have to give you sex in order for you to bring me around people. And so, I like to see how people move, and then I'm like, you know what? Bet. I kind of thought that you might have been like this, and maybe if you was, it's a little bit of confirmation bias, so it may not be entirely 100% healthy, but it keeps you from allowing everybody to penetrate your temple. And that's not sexually, I mean, get everything mentally, emotionally, get things that they're not privy to that they don't deserve. Now, they could do something janky after 90 days, but still, people can't front for too long.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. See, I'm more of a. I've never been when it comes to dating and relationships, whether friendships or romantic relationships. I'm not a rules person with that because we're people and there's emotions and feelings and all that good stuff. So I've never been a big rules person. I'm more of a naturally let what happens happens, and I don't think that chemistry can be put against rules. If I feel a strong enough chemistry with somebody, it's there, and I'm not about to let a rule stop me from going with what I'm feeling. And then my story is different too. Like the way me and my husband met broke every rule, every single rule that I was ever taught. It broke, but we've been married almost 13 years now and together for 17. So that's a big reason why I'm like, have fun, be careful, be safe, and make sure you are doing what it is you want to do. And I'm not big on, I get out to Suge, and yes, people do show their representative, but I've never been big on that. Like I was real with my husband the moment he met me. He knew who I was.
Yeah.
He knew who
But
I
y'all
was.
met as kids.
We met at 18 in college. True that. But even teenagers send their representatives. I got a 14-year-old right now, and I'm like, just be yourself. Just be who you are. Do not show up as somebody that you are not, because you're gonna have to either keep that up or eventually you're gonna have to be yourself, and now they're gonna be like, who is this person? So I just always I am who I am.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. I don't know.
Always on the fence, Switzerland.
I'm on the fence. And the reason why is because I see there's been, I think two worlds are existing at once. There is a world where Suge is talking about, waiting the 90 days. People can't keep up with their, falsehoods for too long. And people's intentions typically don't show because they're trying to gain something. They're trying to gain the whatever reward they want. So they're going to act like someone else. But then there's the natural, like just let it happen. I'm in the phase right now where life is just lifing, and I'm just gonna let whatever happen happen. Now, I do think that there is something to say about being smart and being healthy, and I think that you still have to go through a criteria, like, okay, if this person is showing these type of signs that are maybe aggressive or maybe scary or just not healthy in general, then maybe this isn't the person I need to be continuing with. So I'm on the fence. Different men, while I would like to paint them with the brush, you can't do that, I guess, because some men are just okay with, letting things flow. And if it happens, it happens. And other men are like, no, we have this certain mentality about women who don't wait 90 days to have sex. We automatically put her in a category. So for me, I'm the fun chick. I just want to have fun. I just want to kick it. I just want to let life. And so in the dating world, because I'm not looking for anything serious at this moment, I'm just like, okay, we could just do whatever. Like, I don't care because I'm not looking for anything. I don't know if it'll change if I'm intentionally trying to get married or date. I don't know. It might. Then I'll maybe looking for more of the nitpicky stuff. Like, what are they doing? Kind of like going around the mindset Suge has. Okay, let's wait this 90 days. Is this somebody I want to be serious with? But since I'm in just dating and just having fun, I'm like, I'll just do whatever it comes.
See, mine ain't about only being serious. I just don't want nobody raggedy running around saying they got my cookies. That's really that's how I be. Like, I don't want you running around here talking about how you smacked me up, flipped me, and rubbed me down, and you was raggedy. Cause now I'm mad that I even did that. But
Oh, Shook, I do things strategic. I don't date men who don't. I date men from two different areas, two different groups, two different races. Y'all don't even know each other, so you can never walk in and say, "Oh, well, I did this to her," and then tell, "Oh boy, he don't know."
no, but I gotta look at you. Like there's a few out there. I'm like, oh, what? Come on now. Like I gotta look, and I gotta remember. Like my town is small. I gotta see you and
Oh,
be
I
like,
don't be caring.
I did that.
I don't know this nigga. I don't know him. I don't know you. Who? I don't know you. I will act like I will get amnesia real quick. I don't know that man. I ain't never seen that man. I don't know that man.
I mean, it is kind of his word against yours when it comes to that. If he said he got your cookies, where's the proof? If you don't have no video, I hope he don't have no video.
They don't have more
video
proof.
goes on my phone. Video goes on my phone. I never let a man record me. I'll be like, no, can we record this on my phone? I always say, no.
No, I mean, I'm with all of y'all on it, right? Like when I was dating, I did have certain rules. I did have like, oh, I'm gonna wait this long and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make sure this person is in it and all of that. But when it came to the point where it just flowed, some of those rules went out the window and some of them didn't. Like, I feel like if you're gonna have rules, maybe you should identify which ones are like hard rules. Like, this is absolutely what I'm looking for. I'm not settling for anything else. And then the others are negotiable, right? Because you're like, I don't want a messy man. Okay, but you get with this person and they take their clothes off in the middle of the bathroom. Are you just going to be like, nope, nope, that's a rule that I had. I'm just not going to do it. Like, some things are negotiable. So I just think it's like deciding what you're okay with, like not being a rule anymore, and what is absolutely going to stay regardless of who the person is.
Yeah, but those are foo-foo rules. I'm talking about for real stuff. Like I'm talking about, do you have a baby mama that's about to pop up out the woodwork? Do you have some kind of stuff on your record that I might not be able to fool with, that I might not find out until later? Do you beat women? I don't know, because I don't know you. I'm just letting it flow. And then now, next thing you know, all them serotonin all my serotonin is up here, and yours don't go that high when we have sex. And the next thing I know, I'm out here looking for you in the daytime with a flashlight, and you don't like me like that. And now I'm stuck with something raggedy.
What?
I feel like, are you even answering the question anymore?
Are you crazy, Chick?
What? You talk about rules and you over here talk about all kinds of other stuff.
No, but it goes into rules, right? That's my
But
90-day rule. 90
Hold
days
up.
you have, wait a minute, 90 days you have to get to, I'm talking about getting to know people. And so when you get to know people, what comes up? Their life, right?
Hey, the baby mom thing is true, because I had a baby mom busting the door on me and a homeboy, and me and him wasn't even doing nothing, and that she busted down the door. I was
Next thing you know, you're gonna wake up dead.
Okay.
And I picked my shit up so fast and ran out of that apartment. You never saw, he was fine as fuck too. But I never got to kick it with him ever again, because I was like, you ain't gonna have nobody busting in on me.
Okay, I want to hear from the guys right now for sure. But I just to counter, maybe I watch too much ID channel, but I've seen too many situations where somebody gave it time and still didn't know this person. Like we said on another episode, do you ever really know somebody? I've seen people turn into sociopaths 5 years down the road. So that whole wait to get to know them, you could do that and still not know them. So that's why
Who you done seen turn into a sociopath? They born.
I'm talking about ID channel stuff. People can put on a good front, people can manipulate, people can lie for years and then turn out to be somebody that you did not expect.
Actually, you really believe there was no sign of psychopath
Oh,
tendencies?
it's always a sign. It's always some sort of a red flag, but it might not be a blaring red flag.
Like, you just don't see them red flags. She's like, he's not a sociopath. He just killed his mother. But no, listen. Okay, so we do got to hear from the dude.
We got to hear from the guys, though. I'm just saying you don't know nobody. Period.
Okay. You go first, Jordan.
Okay. I agree with pieces of what all you ladies said, right? Suge, I agree that like I agree that you don't want somebody who you don't deem worthy to, I don't want to say have bragging rights, but to be like, yeah, I was part of that group that I agree with that. And then another thing with that is like, I'm sure it's the same way with how females look at guys, but guys look at females like, if I'm gonna just use Chris for an example. I don't know you, but this is just for example of like, you know, then you let Chris hit, he a lame. Then that says something about you. You know what I'm saying? Like if I think you a lame, if I think somebody that you let hit is a lame, then I look at you funny. Because it's like, then it's like, dang, all right, cool. Whatever I felt like, I might have felt toward you, it lessens because like, dang, you just, because I feel like now your standards is low. Like, okay, nah, she ain't, she's not that. Actually, I'm the same way. When I met my wife, it's a lot that went on, that kind of played into that. Like rules went out the window. But honestly, when I met her, I wasn't looking. Like I had been in therapy for a while too. Like,
Okay.
So I had been in therapy for a while, and then so part of that therapy was I was just realizing that like I was trying, like I had a lot of identifiers, and I was trying to keep up with those identifiers, and then those identifiers came with rules that I was trying to abide by. Then like saying going through therapy, and then saying I wasn't obligated to none of that. That's part of like those were part of the rules. And then so like rules went out the window with her, and then everything just kind of flowed. It was natural. And then I guess saying the old adage, saying they say like you always find what you're looking for when you ain't looking for it. Like I wasn't looking, like I wasn't looking for her. She was like let her tell it. I wasn't even checking for her when we met. We had been in the same places. This is through conversation after we met. We've been together. We had been in the same places for years. Never noticed each other. But then like when she was just like, all right, I'm, she got to the point in her life where she was like, all right, I'm gonna just focus on me and God. I was at that same point, saying also in my life. And then we just happened to find each other. It was funny, but the rules, like, I feel like it can be exhausting. Like you just kind of gotta have a balance on the swivel, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So
discernment.
Have discernment. That's the perfect word for it, discernment. And then also you got to know what you're looking for to kind of have that discernment. So like Keith, you said like you just chilling, you just having fun. I don't know what I mean, besides like I ain't just gonna kick it and have fun with anybody, but like I don't think your guidelines or whatever would be as particular as anybody that's looking for a relationship.
Correct.
So you gotta, saying rules apply to, I guess, whatever it is that you, saying looking for. I guess you gotta identify that first, but like just going strictly by rules, like because relationships ain't a one size fits all. Like what might work for me might not work for you, because we're looking for two different things. And then so even if we're both looking for a relationship, the kind of relationship we might be looking for could be different. So rules, I think they're exhausting, like especially when you try to go by whatever the rules are, instead of just saying like this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna go by, these are my parameters. They could be exhausting.
And these are people have like strict rules. I don't think anybody's running around here with a rule book to dating. Like I don't think I've ever ran around here with a rule book to dating. That's why I picked that one rule. And it's not even a rule because I didn't wait 90 days to sleep with my husband, but I got married. So, but then again, I'm quality, right? So I knew what I was looking for. And then the rules is different things are different when you're 18, 19, and 20 and you found your person. 18, 19, and 20 ain't had a chance to gather up a whole bunch of baby mamas, a whole bunch of, different things that make people undesirable. They haven't had a chance to let all their trauma show. They haven't had a chance to really even work on themselves. So a lot of times you're trying to grow with somebody else at a young age. But when you're in your 30s and you're in your 40s, you looking different. If you're looking to be with somebody, if you just want to have sex, have fun, whatever. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. We grown, but when you're actually looking to be with somebody, I don't feel bad for some people because I'm like, you seen that and you ignored it.
I actually, it's a little controversial, but I actually feel like you were saying 18, 19, 20, I kind of, and this goes for guys and girls because, it happens both. I think you got to get your whole phase out the way before you find whatever, because you always going to kind of be wondering what else is out there. And then, I promise to goodness, in the last probably year and a half, couples that my wife and I know, there's like 3 of them no longer married, and they were like in their 20s, and we met like mid 30s, got met and got married mid-30s. So we was like, I'm bored with whatever else is out there. But if you don't know what else is out there, I feel like if you don't know what else is out there, and then you got homies or whoever always talking about what they found out there for this night or that night, you always kind of going to be wondering like, I feel like it makes it more tempting.
I 1,000% agree, Larry.
Yeah, I
Of
agree
course
with
you
that.
do.
1,000%.
She's been married since she was 18.
Right?
I have not been married since I was 18, and I had my phase in undergrad. So even if I did get married young, I felt like I had enough of whatever I had.
As long as you get it out, like it don't
I
take
got
me.
that
It
out
didn't
my
take me
system.
20 years to get out either. So.
I enjoyed undergrad at a HBCU very much and got things out of my system and felt ready to.
Okay.
This is the person.
What about Chris?
I don't know if we want to go into detail with that, but yeah. What you think, Chris?
So I took a lot of notes. That's pretty much what I was doing, writing, because I was like, I agree with. I think everybody said something that definitely stood out to me. But one of my questions that I had was, where are these rules ever established? Like, where were they established? Like, who actually makes the rules? And it goes with kind of like our social economic environment that says like kind of like our cultural um, environment. Why we make our own rules, because all five of us, all six of us in a room, we all have different rules. And I myself, I agree with Jordan. I agree with him when he was talking about because in a guy perspective, we're very prideful, right? And then when we see a woman that we are interested in or a partner that we're interested in, and we see that he or she or the member slept with somebody else, it kind of hurts our pride. And it's like, what did he have that I didn't? He's a lame. And I'm gonna tell you a snippet about kind of what I went through is that I didn't have discernment at the age of 25 when I met my son's mom, unfortunately, because I didn't really have much of a mentor. And if I would have, I probably would have seen some of the red flags that were there. And without the red flags, the situation, like, don't get me wrong, I love my son. I'm glad he's with me now. I'm a full-time single daddy. However, if I would have seen those flags, then I would not have went through 50 months of trying to locate my son with his mom. Traumatic, to the point where I had to go seek therapy, because I was telling my son today actually that I pretty much cried every night without him being here. And being a black man, being in the military, just being overseas, trying to fight for your son it looked like it was impossible. And I had a lot of doors shut in my face. So that's why I take my relationships very serious, and women I meet. I can meet, like some of you said, like I can paint a picture of whoever I want to be, and once I get what I want, that gaining reward, then I can go be who I wanted to be. And to be honest with you, if I would have saw those red flags 15, 16 years ago with my son's mother, he would not be here today. As far as like the relationship goes, at this point, me being a full-time single daddy, like I'm very cautious on any woman that I bring around my son, because he's my main priority, and we're trying to join our relationship because it was broken for 50 months. And
try to reintegrate.
Reintegrate. Thank you. Our relationship. And one of the things that is a big deciding factor that you can say my rule, because of the traumatic event that we all went through, I want my son to like my partner, the female that I want to, the woman I want to date or marry or whatever. So I take time dating without him. What my personal rule is, because of my situation with my son, I take time dating, seeing them, feeling them out before I bring them around my son, just because of the event that he's been through. So his priority is my priority. So you can honestly say for me, I put a lot of my dating criteria based on my son's personality meshing well with the partner that I want to be with.
So you need
That's dope. That's dope.
That's dope.
Yeah, and that's a rule that's understandable too. That is completely understandable.
So thank you. I appreciate it, ladies.
So a lot of what I heard is that like some of the rules that we create, it's from like a societal standpoint and what we've been told we should do before a relationship. But on the other end of that, it's also based on experience, sometimes trauma, or just, past relationships, and it impacts your future relationships. So one of the things, well, a lot of what we're going to talk about today is also how mental health impacts your functioning, relationships, work, all that good stuff, and specifically in men. So we have Larry and Chris today to share a lot of their experiences, and we're looking forward to it. It's going to be good. Do you guys want to provide a little background on your journey to mental wellness?
So for me, mental health, I mean, super important. And the reason why I'm doing my dissertation is on mental health and military, and basically suicide, because I think you've all heard 22 a day is kind of what we average suicides a day. Military members, veterans. And one of the things about that made me really push for the psychology aspect is because military is very reactive to things. And so I'm studying my doctorate in sports psychology, but really it's psychology. And I'm also working on my MFLAC, which is Military Family Life Counseling certificate, so I can actually start practicing here while I'm still in, because it's rare. And one of the reasons why I focus on that is because of exactly this topic. A lot of Black men don't want to or seek help or think that they're too tough to get help. And I think it's more so of not necessarily too tough, but who do I actually go to? And it's a prideful thing. I want to be that mirror image for us, for somebody to look at me and say, you know what? I know I need help, but I can actually talk to somebody that looks like me and understands my background. And so that was kind of like my drive, my push to want to get my doctorate in sports psychology, because not only just the athletes, but actually just us in general, our community. I don't necessarily care about money, but I care about us and just being vulnerable and allow myself to be vulnerable to my clientele as well, because it's not about me, it's about them.
My journey, well, let me put it like this. So around 2012, I was getting anxiety attacks, but I didn't know what they were. And I was just like, this is weird. I don't want to say I overthink, but that's probably what it is. When my thoughts just get to racing, and then that, saying that's when I start feeling, whether it be like my heartbeat increases, my chest gets heavy. It's just like, oh man. So then, what, I pace a lot. Try to help me calm down. I'll smoke a mild or whatever. Just kind of get my thoughts to slow down. Then that wasn't working. So then I finally went to the ER. And they told me that I was, I had an anxiety attack. And I was like, anxiety? That means I'm depressed. I was like, nah, that can't be it. So, over the course of probably like two or 3 years, like, maybe once or twice a year in that span, it would happen again. And so I'm just like, man, what's going on? So then, like, I had got out of a relationship. I did a lot. And then us ending that relationship left me in a bad place. So just those feelings of, all right, now I got to do this. Now I got overwhelmed. And then so I had, another anxiety attack, and I was like, man, let me go see what's going on. So I went back to the ER, and they did an assessment on, well, they told me it was an anxiety attack. They did an assessment, and it was like, you might want to, go see somebody. Here's some resources. And I was like, nah, I don't need to do that. So then, like, maybe a week or so goes by, and I'm just thinking a whole lot of things, and I'm just like, nothing suicidal or anything, but just like, dang, how did I get here? Almost like a woe is me type of deal. And I was like, all right, man, let me go see, what they talking about. So I went to go see a counselor. They did she was asking me questions, but it really was an assessment, and I didn't know. So I'm answering, I'm answering it how. And then she was like, she went and got the doctor that was in the facility, and they came back and read the results, and it was like, yeah, you're severely, massively depressed. You're dysfunction, like you what's it called? Like, you're functionally depressed. Like, you just know how to keep going, to do it. And I was just like, what? How?
Like Black men.
Yeah, I'm like, how? So so now I'm interested, right? Because I'm the type of person, like, I got to figure it out. So now I'm just like, all right. So that's what got me going back, like, and then talking to the therapist that they did assign to me. She was really good. Like, the first 2 sessions though, I was kind of reserved, obviously, because it was new. I was trying to figure her out. But then, you know, as it went along, I started opening up and then just realizing some stuff. Like one of the things I realized though is like just talking, like she wouldn't even have to say anything, but just hearing, like having somebody to talk to, having a soundboard, then I'm just like, huh, that's probably why it is. That's probably why that. But like I never had nobody to talk to, right? Or I didn't allow myself to have anybody to talk to, because I was, again, one of my identifiers was I took pride in being who everybody else comes to, for whatever reason. And you know what I'm saying, just being
That's a
everybody's
big
big
one.
homie or whatever. So I was getting everybody's weight on top of mine. And eventually it just took a toll. Not only that, but things in my, you know, saying my upbringing, being a, you know, I mentioned before that I went to prison, and being a pastor's kid, that was like, you know, like not unheard of, but it was just like shocking for a lot of people. But then I realized like it wasn't even nothing about me rebelling against my parents, because I loved how they raised us. I was rebelling against what everybody else thought I should be or how I should act because I'm a pastor's kid. And so like I got that from going to therapy, and then just realizing like, you know, saying a lot of the whys. You know, saying after having all that information, then I became, you know, saying more conscious of like, okay, be careful, or, you know, saying be careful or pay more attention to what you're doing going forward. Like it just made me recognize more. So then, again, what Chris said, being relatable. I'm not a licensed nobody. I'm not going to school for this or whatever, but I just feel like it's important to, you know, be an advocate, especially for Black men, because growing up the way a lot of Black men grew up, like it's trauma filled. And so it's like, bro, you need to at least find somebody to talk to. Because
I'm glad that you found somebody to talk to, because it gets hard, like when just being a Black man, and like you said, being a preacher's kid. You said you was rebelling against the way everybody else thought that you should be. I know a lot of preacher's kids, and that's what they have to do. Like it's like you got to break your own chains, like you said, that everybody else is putting on you. And some Black men don't realize that they can't find that through therapy. And then you know you're so busy trying to be strong.
right. Yeah, and being strong is what actually keeps you weak. Because you know, like you don't allow yourself that, you know, to recharge, you know. So you like talking to somebody or just laying some of the weight down allows you to recharge, refresh, you know, refocus in it. But if you just keep, you know, pushing and grinding along, like eventually you're gonna wear yourself out, you're gonna get overwhelmed, and you're gonna start unraveling. Honestly, that's what was happening to me. I was just like getting exhausted, started unraveling, like, you know what I'm saying, doing things kind of out of character, because I was trying to make up for really me being tired of doing everything, you know, the way I had been doing. I just feel like that's important, again, for especially, it's important for everyone, but especially Black men, because a lot of the stuff that Black men are doing is because like the way we see the world is skewed, and then add like pain and trauma on top of that, you know, like that leads to a lot of the, you know, messed up decisions that go on, keep us in a cycle. The way we were taught, you know, it's all right to unlearn some things and relearn, you know, but you know, you don't get any of that unless you have, you know, somebody to talk to.
How do y'all feel about being like, I'm gonna say this very loosely, public enemy? It feels like public enemy number one. Like, is any of the PTSD derived from that? Like being that you could just be walking, and because you're Black, there's a problem, or driving while Black.
I warned it. Hear me out. I know it's going to start some stuff. I warned it because I want you to have this stigma until I open my mouth and you realize I'm not your average. You're going to think whatever you think. Like I'm continuously in the military, fighting that uphill battle. 6'2", 260, bodybuilder, military, all this stuff, high ranking. Like I have a stigma about me. Like my nickname is Debo, and I get it. So I'm constantly just fighting that uphill battle. But it's okay. It's a battle that I can't get rid of. It's who I am. Now, because you're insecure, you have your own stigmas against me because you're scared and I'm big and bigger than you and all that make you feel insecure. That's on you. However, if I need to make you feel comfortable, I will. And it's just an uphill battle that we will always have to face until I'm 6 feet below ground. It's just something that we can't get around.
Okay.
So it's like I'd rather accept it than to ignore it.
Who considers you Debo at your place? Like, who is saying it?
The
Anglo-Saxon.
world.
Child, you lucky I ain't over there because I'd be like, what? No.
He needed to know. Who calls you Debo?
That is like, no, on some serious shit, that's some racist ass shit.
It is.
That's like racist as hell. No, absolutely not. See, you lucky I'm not over there. Child, we both be fired.
Not even that, but Debo was ugly too. Like, why are they calling you that?
Like, and Debo was like hijacking people in his
I know.
Like, what is they on? That's
Focus. Let's not get on this. We don't.
Okay, right, because I was getting ready to go left.
Yeah, it was about to go there. It was definitely about to
Jordan,
go there.
we want to hear from you.
So around 2020, when the George Floyd stuff was going on, right? I had made a status that when I was in 4th grade and the Rodney King stuff was going on, right? And then my 4th grade teacher, she sat us all in a circle in a room, and her intentions were good, but she isolated us. I mean, she singled us out, whatever. And it was probably like 4 or 5 black kids in that class, whatever. And she was like, she put all the kids in the class in a circle, and she gave us 4 or 5 black kids like an opportunity to express how we felt or vent or whatever, to try to get the other white kids to listen. She meant well, but they didn't go well. And so, but when it was my turn, I just remember crying, and I didn't realize it at the time why I cried, but I felt something. And then so as I got older, it was just like everything that we go through as men, like I felt that as a kid growing up with, like, just having a target on our back, saying, not being treated fairly, being looked at and stereotyped a certain way, what have you. So it was just like, all right, this is how they view us, this is how it's going to be. So so much so to the point to where, when I got out of prison, like before I got out, I made up in my mind, like, I'm not going to work for nobody else. I'm not going to allow them to deny me, employment because I'm a black dude with a record. Like, I'm not, I'm more than that, but all they're going to look is that, that piece of paper that says I'm a black man with a felon. That kind of spurred on, me being an entrepreneur. But like, it's just finding ways around how they view us, which is just just finding a way around it instead of just being. Like, I think that's the only hard part. Like, in this world, we can't just be unless we around each other, to where we get it. As I get older now, like, I don't even want to go to certain places or be with certain people unless they already get it, whatever it is. Like, you got to get it. I don't want to answer questions. I don't want to, do certain, like, all right, you on what I'm on, we can just kick it because we already know what it is.
When both of you started your journey with therapy or counseling, did you think about, was it ever a thought of how other people would view that decision of you going to therapy?
So me,
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't care what anybody thought. I was strong. I didn't give 2 cents what you thought or cared about me and my mental health. I voluntarily went to my mental health therapist. I mean, obviously for my personal situation and for the military, because I have PTSD twice. They diagnosed PTSD twice, post-traumatic stress disorder. For those that don't know, from both deployments, or I've been on 6 deployments, and I came back two times with PTSD. So I was like, say something to me. I wish you would, but that was my mentality, because at the end of the day, it's my mental health. Now, I will say there was an old stigma that when you did go to mental health, that it would affect your career, you look down on, and it was like a blanket statement for everybody. And I didn't care. I could care less, because if I knew I wasn't right, I was jet lagged and suffered from PTSD. I was basically nuts inside my house. And I knew something wasn't right, so I just went and got help voluntarily. For me, if you were to even judge me or say something, then I don't even need you in my life at that point. I don't even need you because you're not on my level and you don't see where I'm suffering and you're not there to support me. So you're dead weight. You're like an anchor. I'm going this way. I'm going to cut the anchor and I'm going to keep on going because you dead weight.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Well, I have a question about that because if you guys are so caught up into this is what I'm going to do, this is my decision, this is my life, how do we get other Black men to do this, have the same mentality? Like, I feel like sometimes when I watch Black men talk about mental health, it's more about individualistic, me, but we need it to be a widespread thing around the community. So how do you guys feel like how do you hold other Black men accountable for trying to get into these services and also participating in addressing their mental health?
I think it starts with, because I was the same way as Chris. Like, I just got to the point to where I didn't care what nobody thought. And then that in itself was kind of like a breakthrough. A lot of decisions I made up until that point were based on how I would be viewed. But then I got to the point to where, like, I was like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't even gonna lie. Like, my breakthrough point was like probably like my 4th or 5th week of you know what I'm saying, going to therapy. Like, I didn't even go because it's like I cried like a baby. Like, before I was supposed to, like, I just cried like a baby. And I was just like, I don't even care no more. Like, I don't even care who sees me broken anymore because I'm trying to get right. To answer your question, is like, I don't like, we could offer up the information, we could do whatever, you know what I'm saying, provide all the support, but until, like, Black men especially, like, get to that point to where it's just like they don't care, you know what I'm saying, about that, then, like, it's only so much we can do. It's only so much that can be done for them. I think the hardest part, you know what I'm saying, I've told several people this, is like, it's almost like looking at yourself in the mirror naked and seeing, like, who you really are, and then that's scary for a lot of people, because a lot of people, we build ourselves up to be whoever we feel like we need to be in whatever spaces, and then we start to believe that, saying, we almost start to become that, but strip all that away and realize, like, nah, I'm not that, I'm really this. And a lot of times what we see is like somebody broken or lost or not as strong as we pretend or put on to be. Like, that's scary. Like, but until you get to that point, I don't think you can really start to build or heal.
Like you talked about crying. A lot of Black men were raised that it's soft for you to cry, or you know what I mean, like a man ain't supposed to cry, so man up. What did you think about that? Were you even raised like that?
I wasn't raised like that, but it was enough of it going on in society to where it's like, I'm not going to cry. Like, up until that point, I couldn't remember the last time that I had cried,
What about you, Chris? Okay, so your kid, right? You talked a little bit about somebody taking your son and taking him to Turkey. Larry talked about how he cried, you know what I mean, about how he was emotional and he got, he wasn't raised like that, but he got some of it from society. What about yours? How were you sitting in those feelings? Because I don't know how long your son was missing, but like, just talk a little bit about it.
So my son was basically missing over 1,500 days. And I had to deal with that on my own, because what person can say, yeah, I'll help you get your son back, besides the government, right? So several background checks that I had to go through. And I was in a foreign country. I was in England at the time. So I'm dealing with the English government, the US government, the Turkish government by myself. So just going through that, obviously there's a lot of mental stress. There was people that were supportive, but the only corner I could turn to was my grandmothers, who were my backbone during that transition of me not having my son, to me getting him back and working through all of that, because I had a lot of doors closed in my face. For me to go through mental health, I believe you are the company that you keep. And so if you're not supportive of what I'm going through or just me going, then you don't need to be in my company. And to answer your question earlier, Ms. Keisha, so you talked about how what can we do to encourage Black men to mental health? That's the question. And so I believe that it's also the environment that you're in, because when we don't know or understand what mental health really is and the effects of it in our community, then how can you suggest to somebody to go get help when you don't even know yourself. And so when we have resources that's not available to us in our community, i.e., this is why I'm doing it, then you don't know where to reach, and you don't even know the signs that somebody is struggling. You can say, "Oh, you're a little down," but just pray over it. Leave it to God, which is totally fine. However, sometimes you need that bit more. Obviously, with my training, my background, and where I'm progressing to, I can see those signs, and I do suggest that, and I even help us out whenever I can. However, for those that don't have the training, one of the things that I would highly, highly, highly suggest is to be an advocate, be that supportive, and say, "Look, man, like I went through this, and I got help." Because sometimes, like I said, we're not vulnerable because Black men are supposed to be the head of the house, get the big piece of chicken, right? So we're supposed to be strong, and when you are not, we seen as weak. As far as I know, no Black man wants to be deemed as weak, so we don't ask for help when we know we need it.
Thank you
Well,
for answering.
and one of the things that's I guess that's important to know as well is that people don't always know how they're feeling to be able to identify those signs. So a lot of times, like, I can't speak from a Black man perspective, but from a Black woman's perspective, if I'm feeling sad or really, which is like a vulnerable feeling about something, it can come off as me being angry, like lashing out at people, or even me being nervous and like trying to avoid a certain situation. Someone on the outside will look at that and be like, "Oh, you're angry or you're scared or whatever it is." And I'm like, "No, I'm just really sad. And I just don't know how, like, that's very vulnerable. I'm not supposed to feel that. Like, I'm taught I'm not supposed to feel that. So these are the things that I do instead." And that's not effective in communicating to other people how I feel.
So I believe that emotional intelligence is lacking in our community. I believe that we don't know those signs, those symptoms that we need to adhere to for our friends, our relatives, people who are close to us, so we can actually suggest what's going on. But also, we have to be prideful and are humble. We have to be humble to be able to understand what somebody's trying to do and not break us down, but actually trying to help.
Has mental health helped your relationship at all? Do you think that you're better, like just because of everything that you went through, or like, going to jail and like just kind of rebelling? Or do you think that it's because you engaged yourself in therapy?
Both, because I wouldn't have been in therapy without that stuff. It's again, it helped me understand me better, why certain things I did in my past, what I guess what influenced those decisions, but then also it gave me an outlook going forward. I recognize my triggers easier now, so I don't put myself in certain spaces. I really understand what peace is now, so it's like I'm purposely, you know, things that disrupt that. I try my best to, saying keep that far away from me. I don't even put myself in certain situations, even with people, and just being able to be more. My grandmother calls it compassionate because I've been through things and I recognize, like I'm less likely to judge or be judgmental. It's like, man, they're probably going through something. Again, I know I'm not the only one who feels the way I feel, goes through the things I go through. So I just want to be able to, again, be an advocate, be a voice to let other people know, like, hey, you're not by yourself. It's not just you. What I'm saying, you got a hand, somebody willing to help you, and there's resources that you can take advantage of to, help you through this.
Very insightful. Very
That is,
insightful thing to
yeah.
say.
We hear so much on social media and everything, this idea, especially for Black men in relationship with Black women, that you use the Black women in your life as your therapist. And that's not what we are when we're in romantic relationship with you. So have you ever, if you look back on your relationships, have you ever tried to use the woman in your life as your therapist? Or what does that look like? What do you want the Black woman in your life or the woman in your life to do to help you? What does that actually look like for you?
Yeah, I know for sure I have it, but I'm the type of person in any type of scenario, I hate to be like overbearing. If I do or if I did, it wouldn't be like I'm unloading or dumping anything on anybody. My mom, obviously, I would go to her, and then I've seen how she was that for my dad. So then, saying I kind of, um, saying I that just continued on in my life, and then just the way my family is made up. Like my mom had 5 sisters, so I got mad aunts. I got a lot of sisters myself. It's funny because I was thinking earlier when we was talking about the what was it, the hot topic or the hot sauce topic, y'all
Yeah.
about the rules. A lot of my rules a lot of my rules came from the way I've seen the way I seen my older sisters play other dudes, and I was like, that will never be me.
Yo,
Oh,
didn't we talk about that? And
Never
that
be me.
You should
we
have
talked
said
about
that.
that before. Yes, because
my
we were
rules
talking
came from
about
watching my brother play these chicks. I
Right.
got 3 brothers and I got a whole bunch of male cousins, and I like listen to how they talk about women and what they say, and I was like, not me. Nope. So I
Yep.
can feel that. I feel that deep.
no, but
I was like,
also that's when we were talking about how a lot of black men will be like, I ain't never messing with a black woman. I can't stand them because they done seen they sisters, they aunts, they cousins, they mama just acting a fool. Like, I don't want that in my life. No, thank you.
I never lost. Actually, that probably like sustained my love for black women was, saying my sisters and seeing, but just some of the older guys I thought was cool. Like, and my sister would be like, listen to this, and have them on the phone crying. I was like, no way. Like, nah, like, I was like, nah, that won't be me. No
Yeah.
way. Like, I was like, nah. So they were guiding me, what I'm saying? So it was like, so I was, I was being conditioned to,
Attached.
yeah, so to look for saying, look to, saying the women that I'm in relationship, romantically or otherwise, as like, okay, basically a soundboard. And how do I do this? How would this go from a saying female point of view, or what would say? I always like hearing that other perspective, because I know what the male point of view is. I am that. Like, I've seen the women in my family, kind of approach things with grace but sternly. You guys, like they say, black girl magic. Like, it's kind of amazing saying how you guys approach different things to get your point across. With like guys, like, if we say it's this way, that's the way it is, and then you oppose us, and then there's a back and forth that ensues. But the way that you guys can still get your way, and maybe sometimes we don't even notice it, like, so I've seen that, saying, because like I said, I grew up with older sisters and stuff, but like,
It's funny, because I always tell my friends, I'm always like, you got to make them think it's their idea. It's like,
So
I
what
right.
you're
understand
saying
how
is we
people
should
don't
cut.
get it. Like,
Don't give no
Yeah.
more secrets, Suge.
Hey, don't be putting out secrets. What's wrong with you?
he already gave you the game.
Yeah,
I'm
I
telling
already,
you,
I already,
talking to my
I
brother.
already
He got
know.
to
I
say.
already know I'm hip. But yeah, it's just like, so in all that, like, I was kind of conditioned to not really lean on, saying the women in my life for, that type of support, but like, they're there. My dad always told me, use your resources, and black women are, saying, the women in my life in general are like our resources. You're around for a reason. You have some value. You have some input. I'm going to ask you for it.
So I think whoever's in my life, I will tell you bits of it, but I won't divulge everything, because I feel like I don't want to be a burden to you. Not saying it would be, but the information I need to give you would probably be too much, and your response may sway my personality. So instead of that heartache that I could possibly endure, I'd rather just say, "Hey, this is what's going on," just so you're aware. Like when I'm depressed, I know, like, I will shut down and just turn off the world until I get through this on my own. And I have actually ruined a few relationships because of it, especially when my son wasn't here. Basically, like, I had several relationships while my son was gone, but my son, to me, he was coming back tomorrow. On day one, he was coming back tomorrow. So I couldn't take a relationship serious. So I tell him, hey, this is what's going on. And just let you know that when my son comes back, I'm going to have to ghost you. So I was upfront and honest with them. I'm saying, hey, we can hang out, we can chill, we can kick it. However, my son gets here, I'm going to ghost you. And because of it, I didn't want to divulge too much, but I did tell him, say, hey, this is the stuff that's going on. I didn't go into detail like I did kind of today a little bit, but just generally speaking, this is going on, and this is what's going on in my life. So I didn't really reveal too much. And so because of it, it made me very resistant to really now any type of relationship. I'll seek better help than just kind of relying on the person that's in the house with me.
Can I ask a question about not like your experience in jail, but can I ask a question about
Mhm.
the rehabilitation that you may or may not have received while you were in jail to in order to get out and be successful? Like I find that there's not a lot of that, but you have the
Mhm.
experience. So if you could share.
They provide programs, but really it's just for you to check off a box. So then, when you do go up for maybe parole or probation or whatever, like if you're wanting to get out early, then you got these things that you completed, whatever to, that would say. When you in there, what I realized is like you have to want that for yourself. I can't tell you how many times, like I was locked up for a total of 3.5 years. And then I got sentenced to 5 years. I got out and did the rest on probation. But I can't tell you how many times I saw people leave and come back while I was still in there. And I'm just like, God, what are you doing? Like, I didn't see you come through here twice now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when I listen, like when I listen to some of their plans, when I would hear some of their plans about, what they was gonna do when they get out, and I'm like, oh yeah, you coming right back. Like just even, they still wanted to do whatever they was doing, but like it wasn't even planned out good. Like, oh yeah, you coming right back. Like, I heard a lot of, yeah, when I get out, I'm gonna find a connect, and then you gonna find a connect. Like that's your plan. Me, I just felt like, I even had people in jail, that was like that had been there for a while, had like long stretches, whatever, like, saying like, you don't belong in here. Saying like, what did you do to get in here? Like, you don't belong in here. Why are you in here? And then so just like having them say it, of course my family was saying it like, oh man, like, I wish you didn't have to be in there, whatever. They believed in me, but did they have people who was actually in there, saying that about me? And, you know, like prison is prison, so it didn't go that way, but people were actually sitting me down like, bro, once you get out of here, you better not come back. It was just like that extra, I ain't coming back. That was what it took for me personally.
All right, Larry and Chris, we are so glad that y'all joined us today. And I have a ending question that I just think a lot of friends of mine and a lot of people a lot of women particularly that I know have asked over and over again. So this will be the final question for you guys. How important is it to you individually and just collectively for Black men? How important is it to be to feel seen, to feel heard, and to be believed in? Because you mentioned people believing in you. So how important is that for a Black man to know that the people in their life see them, hear them, and believe in them?
I believe that it's like a level of importance because I don't know anybody, especially Black men, that don't want to feel important and valued. And for me, it's extremely important because, as I go up through the ranks, the demographic of my rank gets smaller and smaller, right? But if I look at my peer group, they don't look like me. The higher I get in the ranks, I become a a visionary for those young individuals that look at me like, oh, if he did it, I can do it too. So it is just important, but I'd rather be. I don't care about my peer group that don't look like me being important, but it's about being important for those individuals that are below me in ranks that can see me as somebody that they can aspire to be like. So that to me is more important than anything else.
I know, my wife, when we first got together before we got married, I was going through a situation and I didn't want to bother her, or I didn't, that's just how I was. I didn't want to put any of my stuff on anybody else, but she could see that whatever it was bothering me. And I told her just that. And she was like, I was like, nah, it's not your concern or whatever. And she was like, I go where you go. And then like just her having that level of belief in me, like, all right, I'm, saying, Lord, I had somebody that I value, saying value me like that or believe in me like that. It was like the extra, I guess, to just go hard and try to, saying succeed at everything that I do. And because I had that, like, I want to give my boys that. I have a teenager and then my 5-year-old Princeton who just walked in here. And I know one of the things that kind of, that I was, intentional about, even though it's been hard, so I let them see, but then I'm all sides of it, so they can know what it is my mom, saying my mom passed last year. And it was like, that was, trauma in itself. But I made a resolve that like, I'm not going to operate out of my trauma, around my boys, because I don't want them growing up thinking that's how you operate. And then that gives them, the understanding. And then once they have the understanding, hopefully then, it's like, all right, they believe in me that I'm going to get through it. And also I believe in them enough to even show them, this side. And so it's not nothing that'll catch them by surprise once they get older, because, everybody goes through whatever they go through in life. So whenever they go through it, whatever it is, I don't want them to not know how to handle it.
I love that, because I love how there is an awareness and a recognition that kids learn by observing certain things. So, I mean, it's not healthy to hold in all of your emotions in front of your kid, because they develop this unrealistic idea that we don't show emotions.
Mhm.
But you also don't, like you said, you don't want to operate based off of your trauma in front of your kids as well, because then they're going to think like, oh, well, daddy acted like this is how I'm supposed to behave. So I appreciate you providing that perspective. And you too, Chris. This was really great to have y'all on here today.
Can I tell y'all what I loved? I love how, because I'm a big advocate for the Black man. Okay, I've established that. I love how you have one person who is married with children, with a hell of a story, who can talk about, yeah, okay, so what? I've been to prison, but guess what? I'm here for my Black kids. You can't say I'm not doing A, B, C, and D, because I'm doing all of that and above. And I love how you, Chris, are a single father. So, and had to fight for your kid for 5 years, had to fight for your kid to come from all the way from another country. There's movies made about women that do that, but people don't talk about our unsung heroes. And that's the professional Black man. And that's the other Black, you know what I mean? That's the Black man that is about his family, is about his business, is an entrepreneur. They don't talk about y'all. They down y'all.
Yeah, and I mean, we really appreciate you both telling your story today, because we're always coming from the Black women perspective, and I'm sure people want to hear the other side of it. If you had last few words for our viewers, what would be the one thing that you would want them to take away?
Final thought is mental health is very important. Not just and I want people to understand that it's not just a hot button topic right now. Like, mental health is serious. It's been serious. We're just behind as a community. But to see it getting the light now, I'm happy about that, and I'm happy for the work that you ladies are doing, even just having this podcast. I appreciate you guys inviting me on to share my story, and just continue to keep up the work that you're doing.
So I recently read an article, 2020 article called "We Are Our Own Counselors," and it's about Black men and their risky behaviors, resilience, and mental health services with our community. And so one of the things that they talked about in this was us being exposed at a higher rate of violence and things that's going on in our lives more than our counterparts, the Anglo-Saxons. So we.
No, you did not use that term.
That's better. He could have said Wahite.
Stop it.
Wahite.
Stop.
Hey, look, I'm so slow. I ain't even catch on. I was just like,
Yo,
okay.
he said Anglo-Saxons. That was so educated.
Anglo-Saxon is taking it back. Okay.
Nah, but he started to say Anglo-Assassins.
Anglo, yeah.
He started to say Anglo-Assassins. I caught that, bro. I caught that.
I did not catch that.
So what I was getting at was, we, with our traumatic experience, things that we've experienced just throughout our life, we rely on an outlet that may not be the best outlet, but it is a outlet. And, as Larry said, proper resources. And one of them I see that we use in our community are the barbershops, churches, friends, and then sometimes music. And in my humble opinion, providing a professional help that we truly need. Furthermore, over time, those resources become a culturally tailored social environment when a member of our community needs help or support. So basically, in short, those are okay resources if that's what you have. However, we need to be activists in our own community to encourage us to seek mental health, professional mental health help, and be able to be vulnerable to each other and still not degrade or demonize somebody who wants to get help. And so one of the stats that I saw that was pretty interesting was said 18 to 26-year-old Black men believe they should be strong enough to deal with mental health issues, and I agree with that. I agree that that's probably their mind frame. However, I also believe that you're not strong enough to deal with the mental issues, and you should not just bottle it up, because then we deal with retaliation and all types of other things because of things that we've kept inside, and that we're seen as the angry Black and angry Black this and angry that, when really there's so much issues that never get exposed properly. So one of the things that I also said, and I'll leave it at this, was 65% of 18 to 35-year-old Black men are 3 times more likely to have suffered from traumatic event that has happened to in their life and has led them to have PTSD. As somebody who has PTSD from a traumatic event, I definitely agree. However, I'm one of the few that I can say of our cultural background that has actually said, "Hey, I need help. I really do need help." And so, for all the men out there that are, debating or got the stuff that's bottled in, be prideful or take your pride aside. I got it, and go get the help that you need and ask for help, because that positive reinforcement that you have in your environment will be an encouraging factor for you to get there. And if anybody says anything different, that they really do not need to be in your life, in my opinion.